Memphis at 20. Why do we have Memphis at 20, Amir?
We put Memphis at 20 because to me they're exciting, but I still don't think that they're going to be taking a big jump next year. I think actually they're going to be taking a step back. Let's look at what they did this offseason. They got Justin Jackson, Anthony Tolliver, and DeAnthony Melton. They decided to go the 2018 Kings route for whatever reason. So that's probably not a good idea. Justin Jackson, Anthony Tolliver, not good players. DeAnthony Melton, he's all right, but that's, again, not a player that's going to really make a huge difference and put you in a 5 or 6 spot in the West, especially in how insane the West is. They didn't really lose anybody significant. So to me, that's huge for them. You don't want to lose any of your young core, especially with how well they've played. They did lose Josh Jackson, but that's not really somebody that was in the rotation too much. And I don't think they're worried about losing him as much as other teams because they still did get Justice Winslow.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
What do you think about their offseason, Caleb? How do you think they did? And do you agree with me that they're going to both take a step back next year?
I agree they're going to take a step back. It's hard to continue what they did last year. As a young team specifically, like once you get veterans on that roster, it's easier to continue that upward trend. Morant does look good, but Jaren Jackson Jr., is he even going to play right away this year? Losing him, that's a big piece that you're missing. They did draft Desmond Bane, but he looked good in his first preseason game. I don't know. He's a scorer, so he's going to have on and off games. And like my thing is you can never really rely on rookies to come in and be an impactful scorer at any point. Like if you want to be a starter, bench player, anything, you can't really put too much weight into that. I would imagine they take a step back. I wouldn't be shocked to see that at all.
I agree. The reason why I see that mainly happening is I look at guys like Jaren Jackson Jr., like we mentioned earlier, he's going to be out for, I would probably say the first month of the season, could be the first 2 months of the season. That's going to be tough. And then especially coming back in what is a shortened off season, I think that's really going to be difficult for younger guys, especially someone like Ja. With Ja, a lot of his success came from being a rookie and not knowing how to really defend a rookie that has that much talent and has a different skill set than most young guards, right? Like he's a lot more explosive than most point guards are in our league right now. And yeah, we do have a lot of explosive point guards, but a lot of those are older guys. Like, for example, the Russell Westbrooks, the John Walls, those guys. There are younger guys like the Foxes, the Morants, but they do have a problem kind of sustaining their level of play throughout 82 games. So I don't know if he'll really have a huge year next year, but I do see him actually progressing. Like, I think he's going to go up. I just don't see him going as big as a jump as we saw from college to his rookie year.
I agree with that. I think, like I mentioned numerous times before, that first year to second year growth, it happens, like, for every single player. It's kind of hard to do that, huge sophomore slump. But I don't know. I agree with you. I don't think he's going to have a huge jump. I do think he will improve, but it won't be like a insane leap that everyone's expecting.
30 wins. Do you see them getting past that? They were at 33 and 49 last year. Obviously, shortened season, we talked about that. But 30 wins. Do you see that this year or no?
It is so hard to get a grasp on because with 72 games, that's 30 and 42 at the very least. I think they'd get to that. I think they would hit 30 wins.
Yeah, I would say they would probably get to 30 wins. Again, that's probably why we put them at the 20 range.
Yeah.
I see them around, again, probably where they finished last year. I could see them around 33 to 35 wins.
The thing is, though, like, I don't know. It's like such a weird year coming into this. And their core is a young core. And it's just, I don't know. It's hard to get a grasp on what they'll do. That's why we have them at 20 because they could all very well all take a leap, and then they could end up as like a 15th, 16th team. But it's like, where do you really rank them because they're all so young? And this is such a weird season we're heading into. It's kind of hard to get a grasp on where they should be ranked.
I agree. And before we move on, I kind of want to get into a little bit of their roster. We talked about Ja and we talked about Jaron Jackson. Jonas Valanciunas, again, that's not a guy that's really fitting with their group as far as age range. But I could see it. I mean, obviously, with their timeline, you want an older guy that's a veteran. Dylan Brooks, do you I
No,
mean, do you even see him as a top 15 shooting guard in this league?
no, I do not like Dylan Brooks really at all. He'll have good games where he puts it all together, and you're like, oh, okay, he's good. And then it's like he has like 15 games where it's like inefficient. He looks lost out there at times. He looks like he kind of stops the ball on offense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it whenever he's in, it kind of feels like the ball stops a lot in his hands. I do not like Dylan Brooks really at all. I don't really like him one bit. I think he's a bad fit in the modern NBA, especially because he's not that efficient of an isolation scorer. Because like the guys who do go isolation heavy in the NBA now, they're relatively efficient with it, right? He is not that type of a player at all.
I can see your point on why you would say that, especially given the fact that look how many good shooting guards there are in this league.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, look around the whole league. How many of those shooting guards are you going to take over Dylan Brooks? That's a lot of them, right? And how many of them are really not as good as Dylan Brooks, especially in Dylan Brooks' strengths? Like, a lot of his strengths are stuff that other shooting guards can do. And he got on a nice deal. They got him for a friendly contract, but that's not to me the backcourt partner for Ja. I see an Atlanta situation happening over there where they're going to try and get somebody like a Bogdan and force it just because Ja needs somebody in that backcourt. We talked about Justice Winslow. And again, that's another player. Do you even see him as a top 20 small forward in this league? Like as a top 20 starter, is he one of those players?
No. It's like, I don't know. Miami found a lot of success whenever they let him do point guard duties a little bit, like handle the ball a little. But I don't see that happening, especially sharing a court whenever you have Dylan Brooks and John Morant on that court at the same time. I don't see it working. I don't think he's really effective off the ball. I don't really think he's that effective with the ball, to be completely honest with you. I just kind of think he's one of those guys that he was taken high. He had a lot of hype coming out of college, so for some reason teams still infatuate that with like, oh, he has this potential. But like, what are we? We're 6 years into his career now. That potential's long gone. You know what I mean? Like, this is the player he is now. And I don't know, he doesn't really have a solidified role. You know what I mean? Like, he's still looking for his role in the NBA.
They have a ton of redundant players on the roster. I think a lot of them are just younger guys that have found their role in the league, but they're not going to ever really be those type of players where they'll take you to that championship level. For example, even a Grayson Allen, another player that's just kind of – he's just okay. He's not great. Brandon Clark's probably the most exciting player outside of Ja and Jaren Jackson.
I agree with that.
I think those three are really the future, but besides that, the roster is confusing.
Yeah, they still got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, they do got a lot of work. Let's move on straight to our buy or sell. So first off, let's go to Ja Morant.
What are the things that you've specifically been working on and want to unleash this year?
Everything.
That's it, everything?
I feel like it's that simple.
Well, that's Ja Morant's answer. As he said, he wants to work on everything. It's simple for him. He doesn't have anything specific in mind. I think he wants to really improve his overall game next year, especially going in as a sophomore. My question to you, Ja Morant will make another big jump this season. Buy or sell?
I'm going to let you go first. I want to hear what you have to say first.
I'm going to go, I think if you heard me earlier, you're going to suspect that I'm going to go sell. And that's true. I'm going to go sell. The reason I'm going to go sell is because of this. Ja Morant, again, he had a really big year last year. I thought a lot of his strengths were shown, especially at that rookie level, given the fact that a lot of players were giving him respect for what he was doing. But, again, we got to keep in mind, rookies are rookies. They're not really scouted as much as these other players are. Perfect example, right, is Luka Doncic. Luka's a little bit different, but if you guys have already been watching any preseason games from last year to this year, last year he had such a big jump from his rookie year, and he already had a hell of a rookie year, that now anytime he's driving it inside, they're triple teaming, they're throwing doubles, they're throwing all the attention at him. So it's kind of like how they defend LeBron, right? Where they just throw all the attention as soon as he drives it to force him to kick it out and have somebody else beat you. I think that's what they're going to start doing to Ja a little bit. And it's going to be up to Ja how well he is as a playmaker. And Ja is a very talented playmaker, but I think he's not going to take as big as a jump forward. I think he still will take a little bit of a jump, but I don't think we're going to see what we all expect. What about you?
It depends what people expect a big leap to be, because like he averaged 18 last year, right? And to me, a big leap would be 5 points per game leap. You know what I mean? And I don't think he would reach 23 points per game. I think that's wishful thinking. Could see him taking a leap in efficiency from deep. He only shot 33% from deep last year. So that could be good, but I don't think it'll be a major leap. Like you said, you make it through that first hurdle as a rookie where you kind of take the league by storm. And then those veterans around the league, they're like, nah, I don't want to, I don't want a young guy to like punk us and make us look dumb. So then they start to really throw different looks at you defensively, and that's something that he's going to have to make it through. Tatum had to get through his sophomore year. He struggled a lot with it. It's something you have to kind of – you can't really prepare for it until you get that action. So if he can make it through that, sure, he'll have a big year. But I'm not looking for maybe 19 points per game, 8 assists. You know what I mean? Like, little gross, but he won't go back, I don't think. I think he will make a leap, but it won't be anything drastic.
That's exactly what I think. I think he's not going to go anywhere backwards where it's like, wow, he did not have as good of a second year as he had a rookie year. I don't think it'll be a sophomore slump necessarily, but I see that potential of him getting trapped a lot and coaches putting him in positions. What happened?
Henry Ruggs got added to the COVID list. He's out for Thursday night versus Los Angeles.
The season's over, Caleb. We're not talking about the Raiders.
Bro, I can't do it anymore.
Let's move on from Ja Morant. Again, I think he has a good year next year, but I don't see – we both agree we don't see him having that Luka type of jump next year.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, let's go to Jaron Jackson. Caleb, my question to you, buy or sell, Caleb? Jaron Jackson will make an all-star team within the next 3 years.
Mm-hmm. I'll buy that. He cannot rebound to save his life, but he can score and he can defend. And if the Grizzlies do take that leap, not next year, but the 2 years after that, he'll get votes for being on a winning team. I mean, look at that Hawks team from 2015.
That's the East. Come on now.
I know that's the East, but if you're a winning team, you're gonna get a scrub in the thing. And I'm not
calling scrub.
I'm not calling Jaren Jackson Jr. a scrub. I'm just saying maybe a player not 100% deserving.
Okay, but here. Hold on 1 second right there. If you talk about Jaren Jackson being in it, let's look at the West. How many players from the West really make the All-Star team that are on good teams? There's not that many per team. Like, look at it. Let's look at Houston. Houston has usually, Harden and Chris Paul, Harden and Westbrook. Okay. Do you see that? Do you see them getting to a top 3, top 4 seed?
In the next 3 years?
Yeah. Especially with that roster. I mean.
Yeah. It won't happen this year and probably won't happen next year, but man, that's going to be tough because you're right. In the West, it's really like the top 4 seeds to get 2 players per team. And I don't know. If he can get his averages up to like 22 and 5, maybe. I'm going to say buy because I'm going to bank on the potential that he will be able to improve as a scorer and defensively. I'm going to go buy.
I see why you say that, but you can get where I'm going. I'm going to go sell. Mm-hmm. The reason why I'm going sell is just because I don't see Jaron Jackson having the right roster around him. Right now, they put him around Jonas Valanciunas, which is nice. He's a nice, solid piece, but that's not the type of guy that you want to piece him with forever. Like, I get it. They're not really focused on forever right now, but look at it. Look at the shooting guard in the center position. You're leaving Ja Morant with Dillon Brooks, and you're leaving Jaren Jackson with Jonas Valanciunas. You got to do something about that. That's not going to suffice.
Don't forget about Justice Winslow there, the 3. It's really just Jaren Jackson Jr. and Ja Morant. I mean, Valanciunas is good, but, like, he doesn't fit with them. I mean, he puts up good numbers, but it's not like a roster fit. It doesn't really, you know what I mean, make sense.
Brandon Clark, though. I feel like Brandon Clark and Jaren Jackson don't fit together.
They kind of don't. I mean, Brandon Clark would be like a good bench guy, or he'd start if Jaren Jackson Jr. wasn't there. But they don't fit well together, and I don't know what they do with Valanciunas because I don't think they're going to be that good this year. Because like we said earlier, the West is stacked. Like, it's going to take 2 big leaps from those guys to be able to get that team good. And I don't know.
Last one. The Grizzlies will prove people wrong and play just as good as last year, if not better.
Sell. I'm going to say sell. I just think it's a 72-game season. So if they do get 30 wins this year in a 72-game season, yeah, they got 33 last year, but that's not as good. You know what I mean? I'm going to say sell. It's going to, like we said just 2 minutes ago, the West is stacked, and it's going to take a big leap from both JJJ and John Morant. And I just don't see them both taking a massive leap. I see Morant taking a leap, a little one. I see maybe Jaron Jackson Jr. He's going to be out 2 months. You're starting out in a shortened season 2 months behind everyone else because the rest of his help there is not good. So I don't know.
Jaron Jackson doesn't stay healthy often. Like last year, he had trouble staying healthy throughout the season. And like we said, we don't really know with the West this year.
He really can't rebound, and it's gonna come back to haunt them, the fact that he can't rebound. Because I don't know, man. Once you get deeper into the playoffs, if they do make the playoffs the next 3 years, you're gonna need rebounding. I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic about the Memphis Grizzlies.
We'll find out how they do this year.